glass of water, standing near the edge of the backyard deck, when my mother's voice sliced through the crowd like broken glass. "There she is," she snapped, pointing at me like I was some stain on her perfect white carpet. "The disappointment we never talk about." Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. Heads turned. Laughter stopped. Even the soft jazz playing from the corner Bluetooth speaker faltered into an awkward silence. I blinked. It was my brother Noah's graduation party. Balloons, banners, champagne flutes, the whole 9 yards. Everyone we'd ever known was there. Neighbors, cousins, coworkers, old teachers. All dressed up. All watching. "You couldn't even finish community college," she continued, her voice rising, sharp and cold. "And you have the nerve to show your face here like you're proud of something?" I swallowed hard. My fingers tightened around the glass. Dad chuckled. "Don't be so harsh, honey. It's not like she has any dignity left to lose." Then he turned to me, full of false charm. "Sweetheart, why don't you do something useful for once? Help clear the dishes. The real achievers are busy being celebrated." I didn't say a word. I just placed the glass down on the table beside me and started to walk away. "Where do you think you're going?" Mom spat. I turned back calm, even though my heart was pounding. "Home." "Home." Dad laughed. "You mean the apartment you're probably getting evicted from next week? Don't forget who's been paying that rent when your gigs fall through." Oh wait, that stopped too, didn't it? Then he said it. Loudly. Proudly. "You're a failure, Kayla. A useless one." That's when he did it. He actually pointed at the gate and said, "Get out." I looked at Noah, my younger brother, the one they worshipped. He said nothing, just gave a sheepish look and turned away. So I walked, through the whispering crowd, through the gravel path, out the gate, and I didn't look back. You want to know the truth? By then, I was used to being their embarrassment. I just never expected them to make a public spectacle of it. But here's what they didn't know. They had no idea who I really was. Not anymore. Because while they were busy laughing at me for not going to college, I was building a startup from scratch. While they were mocking my failed business ideas, I was raising investments under a different name. And while they were taking loans from a company they didn't know I owned, I was watching, silently, carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. And it came faster than I expected. The next morning, because at exactly 9 a.m., their phones rang. And they were summoned, each of them, my father, my mother, and yes, even golden boy Noah, to the corporate headquarters of Arden Enterprises. My company. The one they worked for. The one I controlled. And when they walked into that boardroom and saw me sitting at the head of the table, their mouths didn't just drop. They shattered. They walked in laughing. I could hear them from the hallway before the double doors even opened. My father cracking some half-serious joke about firing someone today, Mom adjusting her pearls like she owned the place, and Noah's arrogant chuckle echoing right behind them. But the moment they stepped inside that boardroom and saw me seated at the head of the table in a tailored navy blue suit, legs crossed, hands folded calmly in front of the company ledger, the oxygen got sucked out of the room. Mom froze mid-step. Her heel wobbled like she'd forgotten how to walk. My father blinked 3 times like he was trying to clear a hallucination. Noah's mouth literally fell open. I didn't stand. I didn't blink. I just smiled. "Good morning," I said smoothly. "Please have a seat." "What the hell is this?" Dad muttered. "Is this some joke?" "No joke," I replied, sliding the employee files across the table. "Your department head recommended a mandatory review. And since the ownership structure changed last quarter, I thought it best I personally handle it." "You're not even qualified to be in this building," Mom snapped, still not sitting down. "Wrong again," I said, voice steady. "Actually, for the past 3 years, I've been the silent co-founder of Arden Enterprises. 8 months ago, I bought out the remaining shares." Noah squinted. "Arden, that startup from Austin? The tech one?" I smiled wider. "That's the one." They looked stunned. All of them. I pulled up the slide deck on the screen behind me. The company logo. Our global stats. The press release from last week where Forbes listed me as one of the youngest self-made executives under 30. And then I slid the final document onto the table, a copy of each of their employment contracts with termination clauses highlighted. "This is insane," Mom whispered. "You can't do this to us. We're your family." "Were you thinking of family when you humiliated me yesterday?" I asked, voice low but clear. "When you kicked me out like I was a stray dog." Silence. Cold, heavy silence. "I didn't expect loyalty," I continued. "But I did expect some basic human decency. And since I didn't get that, let me return the favor with full professional transparency." I stood now, straightened my blazer, let the weight of the moment settle. "You're all fired." "No," Dad barked, slamming the table. "You can't just walk in here and pull the rug out from under us. We built this department. I trained half the regional managers. And I respect that," I said calmly. "Which is why your severance package is actually more generous than most. But your tenure ends today. You'll be escorted out in 5 minutes." "Kayla, please," Mom said, voice cracking. "Don't do this. You're angry. You're upset. Just, let's talk privately, as a family." "You mean the same family who called me useless in front of 50 people yesterday?" I cut in. "The same family who laughed while I stood there like an idiot, trying to keep my hands from shaking?" Mom's face fell. Noah leaned forward. "Okay, look. Maybe we messed up. Maybe we didn't know. But don't burn it all down. Not like this." Burn it down? They had no idea. This wasn't me burning anything. This was me building what they never believed I could. This was me finally standing tall on the foundation they said would never hold. "This isn't revenge," I said finally. "This is closure. You should be grateful I didn't have security drag you out before I even said a word." The room stayed silent as I pressed the call button. Within seconds, 2 HR officials walked in, calm and professional. "Escort them out," I said, without flinching. "Make sure they collect their personal items before noon." And as they were led away, my father glaring, my mother crying, and Noah speechless, I stood there watching them disappear down the hall. For the first time in years, I felt taller than the skyscraper we stood in. And the phone in my pocket buzzed. A text from one of our board members. "Kayla, that was legendary. You handled it with dignity. Let's talk about next quarter projections." I tucked my phone away and turned back toward the city view, and whispered to myself, I was never the failure. You just failed to see me. It wasn't always power suits and corner offices. No. There were nights I ate plain rice for dinner because I'd poured my last paycheck into building a beta app. There were mornings I woke up on the floor of my tiny studio because my mattress had broken, but I couldn't afford to replace it yet. No one saw those nights.
No one wanted to.
Least of all my family. They stopped asking what I was doing after I left college. To them, if there wasn't a diploma or a corporate job behind a desk, it wasn't real work. What they didn't understand was, I wasn't chasing validation. I was chasing freedom. And I was willing to bleed for it. I started as a freelance UI designer. Then I built a simple tool to help track projects across teams. That tool caught the eye of a mid-tier investor. We scaled. I coded. I pitched. I failed. I pivoted. I pitched again. I burned myself out and rebuilt myself every time. The turning point came when my prototype got adopted by a logistics startup. Their CEO called it revolutionary. 3 months later, I had a seat at the investor table. 6 months after that, I wore the founder badge at Arden Tech. I never used my full name on public filings. My last name was a shadow I didn't want looming over the brand. So no one connected Kayla Monroe, the CEO, to Kayla Hensley, the dropout who got screamed at over Thanksgiving dinner for not being ambitious. The irony? They all ended up working for me through a merger they didn't even realize happened. My company absorbed theirs and kept their contracts quietly under the umbrella of regional administration. They were just ants in a system I had built. And yet, firing them? It didn't feel like sweet revenge. It felt heavy. 2 weeks later, I got the email. Subject line: requesting a meeting from Dad. It was short. Kayla, I know you're angry. We deserve that.
But I need to talk to you. Please.
Just 10 minutes. Face to face. Dad. I almost deleted it, but something in me paused. 10 minutes. What could he even say in 10 minutes that could touch the damage they'd done? Still, I agreed.
We met at a small cafe.
Neutral ground. Quiet. Rain tapped the windows like it was listening in. He walked in wearing the same suit he wore to my brother's party, the one where he publicly kicked me out. Only this time, it looked older. Wrinkled. Tired. He sat across from me and looked down for a long time before speaking. I've been thinking a lot, he finally said. About what I said. What we all said. I didn't respond. He looked up. Your mother hasn't been sleeping. Noah's confused. And me? I'm ashamed. I waited. He took a breath. You were right. We never saw you. Not really.
We saw what we wanted to see.
And when you didn't fit that mold, we punished you for it. That was wrong. Still, I didn't speak.
He leaned in.
Kayla, I lost my job. My pride. My home. But the only thing I regret losing is my daughter's respect. My heart tightened because I wanted to believe him.
But words were easy.
So I asked, do you regret what you said, or that I had the power to respond? He closed his eyes. Both. And I believed him. But that didn't mean I owed him anything. I stood up slowly. Dad, I said, I didn't build my life to teach you a lesson. I built it because I had no other choice. He nodded. I know. I'm not here for revenge. But I'm also not the same girl you dismissed. I see that now, he whispered. I hope you do, I said, pulling out a sealed envelope. Because this is the last thing I'll offer you. He opened it. Inside was a job offer. Not at my company, but at a partner firm we collaborated with. Lower rank, modest pay, but honest work. If you take it, I said, take it knowing it's not charity. It's mercy. He stared at the paper. Thank you. I nodded once. This is your second chance. Don't waste it. And I walked out. Because sometimes forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. Sometimes it means letting go without looking back. I didn't hear from my mother or brother for a while. Not until the headlines dropped. Tech mogul Kayla Monroe restructures corporate family tree, literally. The press loved the story. A woman who rose from humiliation to helm a tech empire, only to discover her family was quietly working beneath her. When the truth came out, how I fired them after they publicly degraded me, it spread like wildfire. I never meant to go viral, but I didn't run from it either. That's when the emails began flooding in from women, from dropouts, from dreamers, thanking me for standing tall. And a week later, my brother knocked on the door of my penthouse. Uninvited. I didn't even know how he got past security. He stood there in a wrinkled dress shirt, looking 10 years older than he had at his graduation party. The same party where he let Mom and Dad tear me down while he said nothing. Kay, he said softly, please. I leaned on the doorframe. Please what? Just let me explain. I didn't stop him. Not right away. He followed me to the kitchen, where I poured coffee but gave him none. He stood awkwardly. Look, I froze, okay? That night, I didn't know what to do. I didn't laugh because I agreed with them. I didn't think you'd come back. You didn't defend me either, I said plainly.
No.
I didn't, he admitted, eyes low. And I've regretted it every day since. I sipped the coffee, studying him. So what now? You want forgiveness? A job? What?
His mouth opened, then closed.
I tilted my head. Or is this just guilt management? He sat down slowly. I'm not here for a job. I'm here because I don't want to lose my sister. For a moment, the silence felt fragile. Do you remember when we were kids? He asked. And you made that homemade website for your art, and I told everyone you were going to build the next Google? I didn't respond. Somewhere along the line, he whispered, I stopped believing in you. Because it was easier to believe them. That hit harder than I expected. Because it was the truth. I turned to face him fully. You were the one person who could have shut them up that night, I said, voice quiet but sharp. One sentence from you would have stopped them. And you said nothing. He looked like he was swallowing barbed wire. I know. I leaned in closer. So tell me again, what are you here for? He finally exhaled. I don't deserve a relationship with you, but I hope maybe I can earn one back, even if it takes time. I studied him, not as a brother, but as a man, and I saw something real. Maybe regret, maybe change. I'm not promising anything, I said, but I'll listen. That's all I gave him, and it was more than I gave Mom, because when she finally called, it wasn't remorse in her voice. It was desperation. Kayla, sweetheart, I was thinking maybe we could talk? No, I said. She faltered. No.
No, Mom.
Not unless you're calling to apologize. And really apologize. Not the kind that comes with a favor on the other end. Her silence was confirmation. I'm doing fine now, I said, my voice firm. But the damage you caused isn't something I'll just brush off for the sake of a talk. Kayla, don't be cruel, she snapped. I'm not being cruel, I said. I'm being clear. The girl you screamed at in the backyard?
She's gone.
And the woman I am now doesn't beg for scraps of love.
Click.
I didn't wait for her to respond. I just ended the call and stood in my quiet apartment stronger than I had ever been. Later that night, I looked out over the city's skyline, wondering if peace would ever fully come. But a part of me knew it had already started, because for the first time in years, I wasn't shrinking to make others feel taller. I was owning my space. 3 months passed. Enough time for the noise to die down. Enough time for people to forget the headlines, the drama, the spectacle of a daughter who stood up to the family that broke her. But I didn't forget, because healing doesn't happen in silence. It happens in choosing, every single day, not to go back to the version of yourself that kept quiet. And I was done keeping quiet. I had just stepped out of a board meeting, mentally exhausted, when my assistant approached me with a strange look. There's someone waiting downstairs for you, she said. I blinked. I'm not expecting anyone. I know. But she said she wouldn't leave unless she saw you herself. I already knew. The air shifted. I took the elevator down in silence. When the doors opened, there she was. My mother. She wasn't wearing pearls this time. No designer blazer. Just a beige cardigan, worn shoes, and a look I hadn't seen since I was a child. Uncertainty. Not arrogance. Not judgment. Just the quiet posture of someone who finally realized they had no control left. I stepped out, but didn't move closer. Kayla, she said, her voice shaky. I crossed my arms. Why are you here? She swallowed. Because I watched the video. What video? She looked down. The one someone posted from the boardroom. The day you fired us.
Ah.
That video. The one where I stood tall and told them all what I had built. It had leaked online and gone viral quietly. Nothing scandalous, just a short clip of me telling them, this isn't revenge. This is closure. It broke me, she whispered.
Seeing you like that.
Strong. Unshakable. And realizing I wasn't just a bad mother that day, I was one for years. My jaw clenched. You called me a disgrace, I said, voice low. In front of everyone. You watched Dad call me a failure. And you laughed. I know, she said, tears forming. And I hate myself for it. I see now that I raised a daughter who could have changed the world, and instead, I tried to make you smaller so you'd fit into my idea of success. Her hands trembled. I came here not to ask for forgiveness, but to tell you that I finally see you. My chest tightened. It would have been easier if she came here to fight. But she didn't. She came broken. And I wasn't cold enough to kick someone who was already down. Then go, I said quietly. Go figure out who you are without tearing other people down. Go be better than the woman who raised me. And maybe one day we can talk again. Her face crumpled. But she nodded. And walked out of the building without saying another word. Weeks passed. I stayed busy. Board meetings. Product launches. Speaking engagements. But every now and then, I'd think about that girl standing alone on the deck of her brother's party, holding a glass of water, while the world laughed at her. And I'd smile. Because she didn't disappear.
She evolved.
One night, I walked into the office later than usual. Everyone had gone. The city glowed outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. My heels echoed through the marble floors. And on my desk was a card. Handwritten. No name on the envelope. I opened it. Inside, just 6 words. You were never the failure.
Noah.
I sat down slowly. Let the tears come. Not out of sadness, but because somewhere along this brutal, painful road, I had found peace, not from being praised, but from